welcome back to the Chatterjack Podcast. I'm joined today by James. And James, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm James Harrison and I'm the chair of the Beck BC Shadow Board.
Not just the chair of Beck BC Shadow Board, you do a full-time job too?
I do. I've got a full-time job. I'm Assistant Contract Officer with Nuclear Waste Services.
Fantastic. Thank you so much to agreeing to join us today. We're going to talk about all things jobs, careers, things you wish you knew at school. So I guess let's just get right into it. So being at school, sort of talk us through that. What was that sort of like for you? What was the school landscape like?
School. It was an interesting one. I mean, it was pretty. For a lot of the part of it, coasted. You're getting your grades. You're doing what you're doing. You're not too really fussed about the outcome. That's like the first 3-4 years is what I was sort of like. I was more bothered about playing rugby. I was playing rugby league and rugby union, just out Saturday and Sundays. You were somewhere different every time, playing a different game. Every night through the week, you were training with someone. You were at Carlisle with Cumbria, or you were up at the Brow at Woughbrow at Claytor, or you were at Egremont Rugby Union down at Bleach Green. And so that's what I was mainly bothered about, coming through school. And then you hit a bit of a realisation when you get to year 10, 11, like, oh, I do need to start doing something here that isn't farming, which was the first few years was sort of thinking, oh yeah, we're just gonna course long, take over the farm, just sort of crack on with my sheep and we'll be right as rain. And then obviously the rugby starts to take a back seat to that sort of thing, and the exams start to come in, and you start thinking, oh, I actually have to think about what I'm doing after GCSEs here, and you start looking at what you're interested in. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know what I was going to do if I was going to go to apprenticeship, go on to my A-levels, anything like that. Still wasn't really sure. So the morning of your options were due in for A-levels, I just filled it in on the bus as I was going in and dropped it in on my way in. I just picked the three subjects that I quite enjoyed the most, the teachers I liked the most, and just filled it in and dropped it in on my way in. I ended up picking biology, chemistry and geography.
Mixture.
I will add, we were promised a trip to Iceland with geography, so there was that. They did have a good cop out with COVID, though, I'll give them that. So.
Fair dues.
But so then started going into sixth form, picking that sort of stuff up, and through the summer that year we got a really interesting opportunity to do a bit of work with a Japanese charity called Happy Road Net. And they were based in Fukushima, Japan. Obviously, Fukushima Daini and Daiichi had their nuclear incident back in 2011. Was it? Yeah, 2011, I'm pretty sure. And so they actually came over. They were exploring places where had nuclear incidents in the past. So they were going to 3 Mile Island, they were going to Chernobyl, and obviously with the Calder Fire, they came here. So it was really interesting, really cool. They came into the school for the day. We had to go in the summer holidays. I know, what a suck up going in the school holidays, that sort of thing. But really interesting, really cool. Got to do some work with them. And then at that event, there was always a slight idea that half of the people who were going in to volunteer were going to get to go on the return trip to Japan.
Okay.
And at the event, actually the NDA/Sellafield announced that they were going to fund the other half of the students to go as well. So I think it was 20 students got to go on a trip to Fukushima, Japan. Flew into Tokyo, went around some really cool places over there and everything. Really, really interesting. So quite glad that I stuck with the A-level options to start with. It started off quite high. The highs, that was back end of 2019. We went over there just as the Rugby World Cup was on, just as everyone was firing up to the Olympics and everything like that. It was a really cool buzz in Tokyo and everything like that. It was a week, but it was a full week. It was
really cool,
jam-packed.
I bet.
Yeah, so that was really cool going over there and everything. Had some really cool experiences over there. There's a lady, Claire James, came over with Sellafield. It was quite interesting because TEPCO, well, it was actually in here, we were in Eagle Labs with Beck BC, and TEPCO had come to have a meeting with us, and Claire James was still doing it, and she'd actually gone out with us to Japan, so it was nice seeing Claire again, that sort of thing, because I'd asked Claire 1,000,001 questions on how to apply for a job and everything like that, and she'd help me do applications and stuff like that, so it was really nice to see Claire. But she wouldn't let me forget when we were in one of the gift shops, wandering around a shopping centre in Tokyo. I thought, oh my God, I need to buy some gifts, I don't know. And I was mooching around, I looked at this thing and I didn't even think about it. I just said to Claire, do you think my nana would like this? And it was like some random keychain thing. And she was like, James, how old do you think I am? Like asking if your nana's gonna like this. And she still, when she came here a few weeks ago, she still wouldn't let me forget it. She was like, don't worry, James, I haven't forgot that you basically say I'm the same age as your nana. But yeah, no, it was cool. And it actually turns out one of the TEPCO people who'd come across was actually on that exchange as well.
Oh, that's cool.
So there was me and him who were both on that exchange, who were working for companies, working together. Like, so it would have been 6 years later, which
that's
was
really cool.
Really, really cool. It was just like a very surreal sort of feeling.
Really cool.
But yeah, no, so there was that. And then after that, sort of ticked on through sixth form, and then COVID hit, and the landscape just completely changed. I was considering dropping out and going for an apprenticeship. I was considering just sort of edging off back and seeing what I could do and just going to the farm. I was looking, I just didn't really know what was going to happen. University had never really been on my radar too much. I mean, I'd looked at it and that sort of thing, and through our school we had to apply and everything. And I just went for, I've always enjoyed biology, so I just went for like biochem, biomed sort of applications. But yeah, no, uni was never too much on the cards for me. It's just, I think I've always worked, whether it be on the farm, when I was like, I think it was like 13, 14, I started working in a pub. It's just, I've just enjoyed working.
Yeah.
And everyone needs the money, don't they? If you like holidays, if you like doing stuff like that, it just wouldn't have suited as well. So COVID hit, and then we were looking, stuff like that. I started to struggle with my A levels, to be honest. I missed that personal interaction of the learning with the teachers. I'm very much someone who learns from being in a room, having a conversation, having that discussion. I don't do so well with like independent study, like reading and writing down to learn. But yeah, no, it was it was a weird time. It was for everyone. I'm probably playing it down. I was in the top of Eskdale in glorious weather through lockdown. We had the pools. We were like, which is the river. Loads of people go swimming. So our farm's at the bottom of Hardknott Pass, and a lot of people go swimming up the Esk Dubs. I was really fortunate where I was to spend lockdown, to be honest. I shouldn't play that down and play the sob story on it. I had a cool place to be in lockdown.
Yeah.
Helping on the farm and stuff like that.
So I guess the farm, is it the family farm sheep?
Yeah. So a few generations Harrisons in the Hill farming business, really. We've traced back to there, and then the other side of Hardknott, in the Duddon Valley. We looked after a farm there, and then you can trace us back to at the top of Wasdale, at the top of Waswater. You go over the bridge when you've gone past the lake. There's a little barn there, and that's actually, you can trace the Harrisons back to farming there.
Wow.
So it's always been a constant in the Harrisons, sort of looking after sheep and that sort of thing. So it's always sort of knocked about in there. But yeah, no, it peaked and swayed with the love-hate relationship you have with it. Some days you love it, other days when it's chucking it down, it's about -4, and you're looking after sorting sheep out, you're like, nah, not a chance. Where's that office at? So, but yeah, no, and then did some work experience through Dream Placement with the Centre for Leadership Performance.
Yeah.
And yeah, still at this point, my interest had been piqued by nuclear, by the Japan visit. So I knew that I wanted some sort of involvement, but in what capacity, I'd have no idea. I wasn't an engineer. I liked to talk. That was about that. But in regards to how I'd fit into the cogs that are the nuclear industry, still no idea. So yeah, went on the Centre for Leadership Dream placement. Luckily got a place, got offered 2 places. Got the choice between James Fisher Nuclear or Doosan Babcock as it was. At the time, just went off the interviews we'd had with the people and thought, you know what, Doosan seemed just that bit more interesting for me. They were a bit more worldwide, they were a bit more showy, they were Korean owned. It was all a bit like, oh yeah, this could be quite interesting. They have their own Doosan have their own baseball team back in Korea, the Doosan Bears. Yeah, no, it was just a little bit more pizzazz, wasn't it? So
a bit more edgy.
Yeah, exactly. So did my work experience then. Obviously still COVID time sort of thing, so I didn't get to go up to Renfrew where the head office was at the time, unfortunately. Did it all online, but still met some. It was probably almost better that, and they explained it as well, that I got to do it online, because I got to experience conversations with staff from all over the country, so the different places all over the country. So there's like Sizewell, Sellafield, Renfrew. Yeah, there was quite a few different places we got to talk to and that sort of thing, which was really cool. But yeah, no, at the end of it, we had to do a bit of a presentation about an issue they put to us. I think it was to do with engaging with young people. If I can't remember rightly, it was a long time ago now, but we got to present it to the CEO at the time, Andy Colquhoun, and Andy, his story sort of really stuck with me, because he started Babcock's as an apprentice, and he worked his way from an apprentice to CEO of a company of that size. I just thought it was a really inspiring and cool story about how they look after their people, how they work with the people, and the culture that they clearly had there, which was, it was just really cool to me, especially when someone is looking at apprenticeship route. It's a cool thing. And Andy actually, I thought at the time it was sort of like a joke in passing. He was like, yeah, James, we can find you a job here, no problem. And you sort of laugh it off, and thank you very much for your time, off we go. Applied for Sellafield degree apprenticeships. You apply for all sorts of apprenticeships at this time when you think that you just want to have a look at everything and stick your finger in and see what you're gonna like. So I did. I put it across the board, and I got put on the reserves list for a degree apprenticeship for Sellafield. I was like, oh God, what do I do now? That was sort of like my number one pick. But then I got a phone call saying, oh well, you're off the reserves list. Someone's give back word. You're good to go. There you go. And I still didn't feel like something was right. Something just didn't sit right. I was like, Sellafield, great company, amazing opportunities, but I really want to be working for a company like Doosan. And then about a week later, Bill Miller, who was the recruiter and he looked after me when I was doing my dream placement, rang me up and said, oh, by the way, we've sorted that job. I was, what do you mean, Bill? He was like, well, you'll obviously have to still go and apply for it and everything like that, but you go apply, we'll see it getting an interview and that sort of thing, and we'll see if we can get you on PPP. It's like, oh, thanks, Bill. I've just accepted with Sellafield. What do I do? He's like, don't worry about that, just come. So I didn't worry about that. I just went up to Galemire, had an interview, all a bit whirlwindy in a week sort of thing. It was PPP had just kicked off then, so that's a program project partners at Sellafield, and Doosan had won the position as the process construction partner. Massive framework, 20 years work, just awesome job to be working on. They were working on 6-step continuity plant, SCP, so if I know what it calls it. Really intricate job, really cool job. I was like, that's me, that's what I want to do. Didn't even really know what I was going to be doing. When Bill rang me up, he said, it's apprentice procurement and supply officer. It's like, what the hell's procurement? No, he just said, just Google it before you go. You'll be all right. Just Google it. So Googled procurement, worked out that it basically meant I was a personal shopper for expensive bits of material and what have you. So got to grips with that, went to the interview, and I had a good conversation with them guys, and they talked us through everything that we'd sort of be doing and that sort of thing, and just felt cool. And they obviously rang back up and said, yep, we're happy with you, got the job. So I was like, amazing. Took that, went back to Sellafield, sort of ended that notion, and then started in September with Doosan. It was a bit of a whirlwind time that summer. It was just, everything felt like it was going so I actually I'd had pub jobs since I was 13, 14, and I'd worked pretty much every weekend, most school nights as well, to be fair, racking up some serious hours, and I just took off the month of August before I started in September. I just said, I'm finishing in July, I'm just gonna have a month with me. And it was such a surreal feeling going into your first sort of job. I was Bill, what do I even wear? What do you wear in an office? You see it on movies, sometimes people are in a full-on suit and blazer sort of thing, and then other times people are in jeans and a top, what I'm wearing now. So Bill was just smart casual. I was like, Bill, I have no idea what that means. Come on. So, but it's just even interesting little, I say interesting, probably boring to a lot of people, but little things like that you don't even consider before you go into a job. I
still don't know what smart casual means.
Exactly.
I still don't know now.
It's is this smart casual? Or is I'd say this is just a bit going out to the pub on a Friday or something, really, to be honest, what I'm wearing now. But I think smart casual is maybe jeans and a polo. That's what I've took it as now.
That's the James Harrison uniform.
That's the James Harrison smart casual uniform. And then through the week, office wear, not Fridays, I'd say shirt and pants. That's what I sort of sat on after a bit. But that's what we went. And then
it's so true, because no one tells you this when you're kind of at school, and you go into a job and you have your interview, go dressed very formally.
Yeah.
But then what?
Exactly.
I totally get you. Yeah.
Through sixth form, we had to wear shirt and tie. It was more formal at sixth form than it was at work. Yeah. If I went in a tie, people were like, what are you doing, James? Calm down. Are you going for an interview? That was what I did, wear a tie one day, because I was going to some sort of Beck BC event, and it was a bit of a smarter one. You were going sort of thing. So I just had my tie on, and my boss, as soon as I went in, he went, what time's your interview? So I was
that's the rules.
Yeah, exactly. If someone's, it was if I put a half day in a couple of weeks later, he was oh, so you've got another one, have you? So
second interview,
he got through. But so it was one of them. But it was, and then got introduced to my boss, Mark. Really cool guy. He'd been out to Australia playing a bit of rugby league and that sort of thing, a bit semi-pro rugby, living over there for a bit, and he'd had some cool jobs. I thought, where's these jobs at sometimes? Because he'd been working with used to be the Challenge Cup sponsor in Leeds. Is it Carnegie? So he'd been working out of Leeds, because that's where he went to uni and that sort of thing, all around the country with the Challenge Cup and that sort of thing, just going to these events and swaggering about, meeting all these rugby players, all that sort of thing. It's Matt, how do you get that job? I know I've just took this on with you, but come on.
Your apprentice.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then Mark had got out to Oz, done that sort of thing, then come back, went to BAE, and then started with Doosan as well. Not long before, but Mark was a great sort of first boss. When people say they need someone who's going to look after you, Mark really looked after you. He was a really, really good guy. He sadly left after, just as I was coming to the end of my apprenticeship. So about 2 years, just before 2 years into my apprenticeship, Mark was moving on, and then just as I'd accepted a new job with Nuclear Waste Services, pretty much, he came back into the position above him in my team.
Got you.
And he was like, James, come on. And he'd give me we'd gotten a lift home together. He even had Laura, his wife, on the phone. She was like, I can't believe you're leaving my Mark. He's come back to see you again, and you're leaving him straight away. And we were laughing about it and using some language that you can't use on here and that sort of thing. But all in all in a friendly manner and whatever. But Mark's back there now, and he's really good. He gave me a good first induction to the workplace and everything, which I couldn't have asked for more. And then I was up at I didn't have my pass and everything then. So I had to work out of the Dewson office up the hill, which there was no one in because everyone was working from home. So it was me and like this one other guy, and then so Mark sent up a couple of the team, Laura and Helen, to greet me, and I didn't know what questions I was meant to ask. I didn't know what was going on, but Helen and Laura just like quizzed me about who I am, what I was, where I come from, and everything like that. I was like, we just sat in our crack for about an hour, and I was like, I'm going to enjoy this, I think.
Going to be all right here. That's
Exactly.
amazing. So like you kind of came sort of straight out of sort of the school right into the workplace. And I guess we always ask, this is my favourite question to ask everyone, so I do have to ask you the same one. What would your school reports have said?
Oh, my school reports, 99% of them would say he's a good student, but he just needs to shut up and get on with his work. I'd say it's about 99% of them. And then PE would be, James is getting on really well in PE, and that would be about it. Because I was probably not fit enough to chat everyone's head off when I was running around and that, so that's probably the only reason I wasn't talking still.
You meant to be looking at the rugby ball,
exactly. Exactly. Or running around the Redgra, the infamous Westlakes Redgra.
Amazing. So you kind of came through that, and then you stayed with Dewson. How long were you there for?
So Dewson actually got bought out by Altrad Group a couple of years in. So they're now Altrad Babcock, obviously. And so I stayed there, I think it was 3 years, 7 months. So 2 years of that was my apprenticeship. Yeah. And then a year and 7 months outside of that.
So was the kind of, as you studied your apprenticeship and went into the role, was it kind of what you'd expected? Were there any quirks, any things you thought, oh gosh, I didn't realise that this was going to be part of my job?
Well, I'll be honest, it was full of quirks because PPP is so young and it's such a big framework that everyone's sort of working it out as it goes. And there's stuff that you can bring people from other big major infrastructure jobs, but if you're wanting to be the best one, you have to bring them new ideas and the new people. So actually 2 of the people in my team, so Helen, she was new to the nuclear industry. She'd been a fashion buyer. She studied fashion at university. She'd worked for like Next, Lakeland and that sort of thing. So completely different to her to coming in, and she was looking after pipe bridges, like about however many £1 million worth of pipe bridges. So you can imagine the difference there. And she rose up quickly. She was really good at her job. Everyone like praised Helen Lord, really good at what she does. Still good mates with Helen and everything. And then you had like Laura as well, who was in my team. So she'd come from a different background. Again, she used to work when she was in Manchester. She worked for the Co-op. And so she used to go take food tasting, sandwiches, pizza and all this sort of stuff on she said every Friday you got free pizza and everything like that because they'd been testing new products and off the line and stuff like that. So again, very jealous of Laura's previous role, working with that and getting free pizza and what have you. But and then she'd come in and she was actually looking a lot after. She helped to set up the electrical agreement with both BE that we had going there as key delivery partner. She was working on like steam ejectors and stuff like that. So you can imagine the difference again that's come through being a food buyer to that. And I think she was at Caterite as well, she said beforehand, but just that differences to coming into the job. So I wasn't alone in being new to the nuclear industry, which was really, really good for me. Even Mark himself, he was from BAE, so Sellafield's a completely different beast to that again. It was cool that they had that sort of range of people to work with as well. But
absolutely. And then sort of on a bit of a day to day, what did it look like?
So my day to day, so I actually went in as like a procurement apprentice. So as you know, that's like pre-contract, anything pre-contract, sort of logistics and that sort of thing in a traditional sense. but procurement at Sellafield tends to be you're setting up the contract, and then you pass over to your commercials, so like your QSs or your contract officers or whatever you want to call them. But because resource is so finite, we sort of ended up doing a more cradle to grave, so it's a bit of a blend between a QS role and a procurement role.
For our listeners that don't know what a QS is.
Oh, quantity surveyor. Sorry. I'm talking with my that head on. If I do any abbreviations, check me on them. But yeah, no. So quantity surveyors. So I actually ended up getting a really good blend of like quantity surveying know-how. Working on the new engineering contract 4, so that's the NEC 4. So I caught myself on that one. Which is really good experience. Really lucky to have that, to be honest. Because it makes you very versatile in the workplace. So like I say, that's sort of comes back to the day-to-day sort of thing. Was very much dealing with your supply chain. So I was working really closely with West Cumberland Engineering at Lilial, McMahon Engineering down at Salterbeck, and Bendall's Engineering up at Carlisle. They were my 3 main contracts I had. Really enjoyed it. Really, like, all different beasts in their own sense, different works, different like relationships you have with that sort of thing to manage. So that was like your main day job sort of thing, was looking after them bigger contracts that you had, the main NEC supply contracts that you had. And then on a more like a setback thing, you were still a procurement officer at the same time. So if site needed a bag of sand, you had to go out and buy a bag of sand off Thomas Graham's or whoever you had to. Other suppliers are available, I should say, as well, or whoever you were using at that time.
Roger would be very happy for the name.
Yeah, exactly. So you're looking at the requisitions and that sort of thing that you were getting through from site. Oh, what do we need today? We need some PPE, we need some hard hats, we need this, we need that. And you'd sort of go out to the suppliers, get some quotes and everything like that, and come back and place them orders with them and that sort of thing. So that was quite day jobby. Looking after the compensation events, so if there's any changes, so these are big evolving jobs that we're working on, so there is a lot of room for change. You're working with very integrated and sometimes outdated designs, because we were dealing with a build that's based on a design that was designed about 50 years ago. So sometimes when you're looking at a 50-year-old drawing, you're like, what on earth am I looking at here?
I can imagine.
But yeah, no, a lot of the technology stayed the same, which is really interesting, really cool as well. But one of the things we were buying was some valves, and to follow the story of where these valves had come from, you've got a mill in Italy milling the steel, and then you air freight that steel over, and that goes to Sheffield to the forge masters. And we got to go down to Sheffield and see this metal getting forged down there, and it'll go on a lorry up to Glasgow, and it'll get machined in Glasgow and everything like that, and it'll get air freight from Glasgow to Cincinnati in America to be assembled and everything like that, and then get certified by them and everything like that, and it'll get air freighted back over to Glasgow, and it'll come down to Cleatormoor and ready to be delivered to us to site. Wow. So like life cycle that someone's looking, oh well, you're just buying that valve, like come on, it's off the shelf or whatever. No, a lot of the time there's such a backstory, and when you're dealing with like the high profile nature that we're dealing with, it's taxpayer money at the end of the day. You need to hold people accountable for that spend. So you get to have these conversations with people from all over the world about what you're buying and building and stuff like that. So that's where the supply chain element comes into it, and you really get to look down that supply chain. There's often a bit of a joke about some of the electrical panels that we were getting on site. Some of the work was getting done in New Zealand. Wow. So everyone was like, come on, who's getting the trip out there and that sort of thing sorted. Fortunately, I didn't get to go to Cincinnati, but got to go to Sheffield, so that was glamorous enough. But yeah, no, so it is cool. A lot of people don't see the background, the like, should I say, the sexy side to the supply chain. And there is a lot of that. And if you are wanting to meet people, if you are wanting to get out there and stuff, it's great. It's honestly, it's so cool. There's so many interesting people into it. And
that probably you school reporters, you said you love sort of conversing with people, chatting, finding out about people's stories. So that side of that role probably really fulfilled that for you.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like going out and like just chatting to people. And it's funny because you can chat someone's head off all day long, but you can meet someone new and be petrified and not know what to say at the same time. And you think, normally I've got so much rubbish to talk, but I just can't find a word to say. And so it's...
And I'm assuming that's happened, that you've got experiences.
Loads of times. Just you've gone in and you've sat down with someone, you said, "Hi, all right, how are you doing?" And they've said hi. And you're like, brick wall. It's like, how do I get past this? Got to like bring out all the stops, like, "Oh, did you go out the weekend? Did you do this?" And then sometimes you just end up just telling them something. They're probably not bothered, but you just got to try and create that connection somehow. Some people might draw it out. Some people might just sit and listen to you tell a story and then not care at all afterwards. Yeah. But it's like that's the whole supply chain thing is talking through people and finding people out and seeing how the lay of the land's going to work and how's it going to work. Like, are we going to be sensible about this? Are we going to be following the book every step of the way? Or are we going to be a bit pragmatic and a bit more like, yeah, you understand what's happening here. Let's be sensible. Let's get a proper good outcome out of this. But yeah, the talking, it's never seemed to have faded.
So that kind of will lead on to, then you got involved with Beck BC and the shadow board. So how did that come about? So for everyone that doesn't know, tell us a bit about Beck BC, tell us about the shadow board, and then how you got involved.
So Beck BC, Britain's Energy Course Business Cluster, as we're pointing out the acronyms. They're a member organisation born from the supply chain and run by the supply chain. To set up, Diane's going to kill me for not remembering the exact year. I do think it was around 2005, 2000, that sort of time. But set up by the first meeting had 6 members of the Sellafield supply chain who were all wanting to do business with Sellafield and understanding how they could help each other to do that business. If I won this contract, can I do the work for you? All them sort of conversations that need to be had. Every supply chain needs that, and Sellafield supportive of that because they need it at the end of the day. Grown massively since then. Just members upon members, it's just multiplied up to about 246 members now, I think. The minute, Diana again kill me if I get it wrong, but I think that's where we're about sitting at. Really healthy membership, and we're much wider than Sellafield supply chain only now. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of people in there wanting to do business with Sellafield, but much wider supplier base is involved with that now. And it's really, really cool to see the diversity in that membership, and who's Chatterjack, obviously themselves membership. So you've got companies like Chatterjack coming through it. You've got like Adam Media, former Shadow Board member himself. Really cool stuff. Recently did an advert with Cumberland County Council. Again, another company involved. So it's just a bit of a width and breadth membership cluster, and more often than not, which I find really cool, is someone can always have a conversation with someone who can have a conversation with someone, and along that path they'll be able to do business with each other, and it's just such a cool place for that. But as it was growing and growing, in 2018, Ivan Baldwin, who's currently who was chair of the board at the time, said, "There's loads of young people in our membership. Why aren't we hearing their views?" And everyone was a bit like, "Well, we should, but how do we do that?" And that's sort of how the Shadow Board became born. It was a bit, how is it going to look and that sort of thing at first, but it's grown into something really, really good. Well, I don't want to toot your own horn when you're on it, do you, sort of thing, but it's something that I find really beneficial. I hope a lot of other people do, and I'm sure a lot of other people do. Heard some really good testimonials about it and how it's helped them grow and how it's shaped them and that sort of thing, which I think's amazing. But what the Shadow Board is it's not a traditional Shadow Board as you might know it. It's more operational. We do our own thing. We have our own meetings. We report into the board, but we don't do things for the board as such. The boards don't delegate things to us unless it's something we should be involved with. We have our own mission. We have our own sort of strategy on how we do things, and we run with it ourselves. Made up currently of 10, but it can be 8 to 12 members, aged between 18 and 30. Unfortunately, at 30, you just get sort of cast off.
Yeah.
You've got to drift away, but it's just how it rolls. But yeah, no, so we run with that, working with them sort of people. We try and do different things. Like at the minute, we had our miles in March. It's obviously April now, but we've just had our miles in March, where we aim to walk 1,000 miles across the shadow board in March. We absolutely smashed our target of 1,157 miles, I think we got.
Nice.
Which was me and Abby Simmons were fighting for top spot in the miles, and then I went and got runner's knee. Apparently, the physio said, but I don't think I've ran, God knows how long. I ran a bit the day I found out about it, but yeah, how a man who doesn't run gets runner's knee, I won't know. But yeah, so Abby took the top spot on that one. I'll concede to that one, but yeah, no, really good effort from everyone there. Raised a few quid for the Great North Air Ambulance Service as well, which is really good, especially when it's just you're sort of getting out for a walk and doing what you like doing anyhow. So just adds a bit of a bonus that you're making a bit of money for them good causes. But we also run events like our Link Up Lunches, currently led by Bridget Dempsey at the minute, member of the Shadow Board, where we get people in to talk about, could be anything really. We have hosted sessions previously. Paul Poynton came along, current chair Beck BC, but also vice president of Momentum. He came along and talked about difficult conversations to have with your boss, which I can't say I've struggled with too much, because I'll just come out with it. Probably not the best thing all the time, but I've not been backwards and coming forwards. But I know for a lot of people it's a struggle how to have. I feel like I should be on a bit of a higher salary. I feel like I'm really punching above my weight with my work here. How do I have that conversation? And Paul came along and talked us through that sort of thing from a really senior perspective, and how he's seen it done well and how he's seen it done not so well, and that sort of thing. So that's an example of what we've done there. The Link Up Lunches, just like a half-hour session over a lunchtime. Just log on, you can bring your bait, your lunch, whatever. Come along onto the Teams meeting. Just a bit of like a relaxed environment, really. Talk about that, bit of networking, young people, get it done, that sort of thing. We've had bingo nights before, raise money for charity. We've had Shadow Board members walk across hot coals for charity. We've had all sorts of weird and wonderful things as part of the Shadow Board. I suppose our annual thing that we always do, that's my favourite thing about it, I think, is we do the Shadow Board takeover at one of the Beck BC Energy networks, which is always well attended, and can always be better attended if anyone else wants to come along, if you're a Beck BC member, of course.
You could get a guest. You could get a guest.
You could get a guest membership just for that event, and I won't be annoyed about that. But yeah, so you could get yourself along. But we always try and get young speakers to come along to that and give us different ideas, or even just companies who are doing things for young people and how it can really benefit, and what cool stories they've got. Like this year we had a Belle Cubby from the Outward Bound talking about cool stuff they do with young people. Really interesting, really cool stories and stuff like that. We had a young speaker herself, Sarah Mason, came and did an egg timer from NXT Recruitment. We have all these sort of different people coming along. The year before we had Sophie. I'm not going to try and pronounce Sophie's second name because I will fumble it. But Sophie's currently running a thing for carbon neutral aviation fuels, which is really cool. She comes, talks along what she's doing with her career and that sort of thing. But again, former Shadow Board member doing really cool things, and that's the most important thing you want to see going along. What are they doing?
Really inspiring as well, isn't it?
It is really cool. It's a bit like, oh God, what am I going to have to do now? Because it's you're coming through, and I started with the Shadow Board off a bit of my mate Aaron. I don't know if you play golf and that, Aaron Groggins. Yeah, you never know Aaron. Yeah. But so Aaron just sent me it off LinkedIn and was like, oh, you'll be interested in something like this. I was like, oh, I don't know, it sounds a bit sucky uppy, like going along to a Shadow Board and that sort of thing. I was like, I don't know, Aaron. And he was like, come on, James, you're a head boy, you can't get any more sucky uppy than that. So I was like, all right, come on then. let's have a look. So when luckily Rihanna was on Shadow Board at the time, and I knew Rihanna through my dream placement and that sort of thing. So I reached out to Rihanna, had a bit of a crack about her, what it was about and that sort of thing. I was like, yeah, this is for me. This is like young people getting involved with conversations that you want to be involved in. It's young people pushing the agenda. It's what I want to be a part of. So applied, did my interview, got on, lucky enough. And then I've just been with it since. Took over we have a vice chair. I think I started the vice chair role as an interim vice chair role like June last year. And then quickly spurred onto the chair role when Rihanna's child decided to come along quite soon. So baptism of fire on both sides. I got scopped into the chair role. Rihanna got scopped into motherhood. So it was an interesting week for us both. Probably a bit of a bigger week for me, quite obviously there.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But all in Rihanna's stride with that one. But yeah, no. So and just since then, just been running with the chair role. Made a couple little changes to how it's sort of run. We run with roles now. Everyone's got an individual role. Sort of partnered with our sector group as well, which sort of creates that sort of more integration there into Beck BC, which I think we needed a bit of. Just helps us have a bit more of a profile, gives us a bit more of a reason to be in the room and that sort of thing, which I think's working quite well. I mean, I might hear differently, but we've been doing a bit of a review of the past month and it seems to have been working well. But yeah, no, like I say, running at 10 members now, and I don't know, might be looking to grow. With some stuff going on at the minute, some people might be looking to step back. You don't know, people's work changes at the end. Work comes first, so if people have got to commit to that, they've got to commit to that. The chair role has to stay on for 2 years, so I'm stuck with it for now. Not that I would ever complain about it. I absolutely love my time with the Shadow Board. It's it's great. Through the Shadow Board chair role as well, you actually get a seat on the board of directors for Beck BC as well, which is really cool. I'm 22 years old. I can say I'm the director of a company with the revenue that Beck BC has. It's quite a cool thing to say, really. And when you look on Companies House, you're like, oh, there's my name. But yeah, no, it's quite a cool feeling to have with that one. And it's one that you can say you've earned as well, because you've had to put the time and effort into it and that sort of thing. So it does feel like when you get that letter through the post, and you'll have had your letter through the post with Chatterjack and everything. It's quite a cool, satisfying feeling seeing.
I've still got my first one.
Yeah, exactly. So it is quite cool. But yeah, no.
Yeah, it is. You feel like, oh, you've definitely put your big pants on that day. Like, oh, exactly. God, right, okay, yeah. I remember that feeling very well. So I totally understand that. And I think, yeah, what I'm hearing is lots of sort of, you've kind of built all these relationships and connections throughout sort of your career, and been influenced by some great people. So yeah, would that be some advice that you would give to people? Is network and be out of your comfort zone almost?
100%. Like even if it's probably a really simple one, but LinkedIn, just add people. Like even if you don't know them a lot of time, just connect with them, and they'll often connect back. And sometimes you might want to start a conversation, or they might share something, and you might think, oh, that's interesting, that's cool. That's how I found out about Bexy BC, through LinkedIn and that sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, definitely the connections and that sort of thing, but in the wider network, like whether it's work experience, whether it's you're out on company visits somewhere, like just try and remember names. I'm so bad at it. So I've got a notes section in my phone for like putting people's names down so I don't forget them.
It's happened to me. That's honestly happened to me recently. And I think there's some stat. I think you can remember about 1,000 people. I think that's the number.
Right.
I must be at capacity now because this one, but it was awful. It's an awful feeling. So I need some help on that.
Well, yeah. It's either that or you just add them on LinkedIn then and there, and apparently the key to it is, because I had that problem, I was just like, nah, I just can't remember. If you say the name 10 times in the first 30 minutes of meeting someone, you'll remember that name.
Wow.
So even if you just go to the toilet and go Rocco, 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 you may never remember that name from then on. So that's what I've been using it. It's been working recently, so I'm gonna have to crack on with that one.
Life hack. Thank you for that.
There we go. But but the people you're meeting and everything, definitely draw on people as well. People will be happy to help you. We get a bit of a mentorship program through Beck BC and that sort of thing as well. So I've been lucky enough, reverse mentoring, sorry. So I've been working with Lee Greers. I've had Paul Point, and I'm currently working with John Clark. And obviously, like, people who've had really cool, very different careers. Lee obviously running Responsive Flawed, whatever he's calling it at the minute. And then you've got Paul, who was head of site down where I'm working at now and CEO. And then obviously vice president of Momentum, another cool career step. And then John Clark, former CEO of the NDA. It's some really interesting people, and they're helping me build what I'm doing and who I'm working with and that sort of thing. And just really, and yeah, it's just good getting that different perspective from people. I've got like a different mentorship outside of Beck BC with Steve Rothwell from NIS. And Steve's like, honestly, me and Steve hit it off straight away. We both support Wigan, both support United, both like absolutely love it. So we just hit it off straight away, I just bounce things off them. Yeah. And even if you don't have that mentorship, if you've got someone you've connected with, you think, I'd love to bounce it off them, just ask them. They're probably going to say yeah. And if they don't, it just means they probably don't have that time at the minute. But a lot of people will make that time, because there's nothing better than helping someone succeed. And so many people want to do that for you. So if people get the opportunity to get a chance to have a bit of a mentorship or whatever, take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. I love that. Well, I know a couple of random facts about you. So you're in a documentary. So your claim to fame, James Harrison, would you like to tell us?
Yes, so my claim to fame, one of my claim to fames is I was a documentary, Scawfell Pike, The Life of a Mountain. I know, it doesn't get much more riveting than that. It was on Sky, ITV, BBC. It's one of them you look back and you think, what went on there? How did that happen? Like, I still picture it in my head. I was stood at the side. It was a Wasdale show. That's where it was.
Got you. That's the agricultural show, right?
Yeah, that's that's Hill Farmers show, showing sheep. We were that day. And I had my little dog Bess. Bess was my first sheep dog. I was just about to show her. I actually won champion sheepdog that day with Bess. Yes. Well, Bess won it. I was there. But yeah, no, and this guy came up and he was like, I saw you in the sheep ring earlier and saw you here and that sort of thing. I just wondered if I could have a bit of a chat with you. Don't worry about the camera. And then it was like, yeah, no problem. So I was just chatting to him about sheep and that sort of thing, and talking him through sheep. And well, my dad will never let me forget it to this day, but I was about to go in. Dogs with sheepdogs are either smooth haired or rough haired, yeah. And that's the classes. And with sheep, I said some sheep are smooth haired and some sheep are rough haired. I still haunts me to this day that I said that. But yeah, no, we're just there talking about sheep, and then a few months later, got a text off one of my mates at school. It was like, "You're on telly here." I was like, "What are you on about?" It was like, "This is you, isn't it?" Sent me I think it was Snapchat, so it sent me a photo, and I was there on the telly chatting away. I was like, "Oh my god." And then, yeah, it's got a DVD. It's on YouTube. But I think it's called Terry Abraham. I think he's called, the guy who did it.
You do realise you're just digging a hole for Tom to find the clip and insert it
here?
Yeah,
no, he's not inserted that clip.
You get a kind of a mixture of tups. You get the hard coverage, which have been at fell all year, and you get like a bit smoother, which haven't been to the fell as often.
Oh, yeah. Partially covers. I've got my tweed flat cap on and the lot. But yeah,
just keep digging, because we now know it's going to definitely be you.
Proper little farmer. But yeah, no, it's my voice is even squawkier then, so it might be a good thing, really. It shows progress, doesn't it? But.
And then I heard I'll gloss over that for you. I'll save you from that one. We were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you have. Did you say you drilled a hole in the Olympic torch?
Yeah, so we talked about before. Japan and that sort of thing. Went over there on that school visit. We actually got to visit the Prime Minister of Japan's residence, which was really cool. He wasn't there, but the First Lady of Japan was there. So we got to meet her. It was really interesting. Wow. And at the time, there was loads of Japanese comedians, TV stars, and that sort of thing. Obviously, not a clue who any of them were. I'm not a massive Japanese media consumer. But they were drilling holes into the Olympic torch for the 2020. It was then the 2020 Tokyo Games. And yeah, they invited us to come along and have a crack and drill a hole in the Olympic torch that was going to be on for the whole Olympic ceremony for the sculpture. So yeah, went along and drilled a hole, got told off because I was doing it wrong apparently, but yeah, there we go. Not the craftiest man, but managed to get that in there.
Fantastic. That's a good claim to fame, I'd say. Absolutely. And it sounds like there's a lot happening. And then you sort of moved roles just recently, so you've joined NWS.
Yeah, Nuclear Waste Services.
So tell us a little bit about that. Is that a slightly different position than the Altrad?
No, definitely different in terms of I'm definitely the full-on commercially embedded now. Stepped away from that procurement sourcing side and very much more in contract management side of life now.
Okay.
We run competitions off frameworks, so further competitions and that sort of thing. It's a really different environment in that I was working previously. Although it was for a public client, we were a private company I was working for. Now I'm working for the public, so I'm a civil servant technically. And I'm working straight for them. There's a lot of different regulations and rules around how it works and everything like that. There's recently been the Procurement Act brought out, Procurement Act 2023. So a lot of training around the changes that will impose. And obviously, a lot of holding off on procurement because no one wants to be case law. We're just a lot of learning going on around that. So it's a massive change for me. So different to how it used to work. I mean, obviously there's still a lot of rules and regulations over the other side when you're working for Altrad, but there's just so many different processes and that you go through and who to speak to and how sign-offs works are even different. It's really, it's cool. It's interesting though. It's completely different what I'm working on now. Previously, I was working on off-site fabrication. So I should be allowed to say it. I was working on big metal boxes, basically. I had a flash transfer bogie, which Bendels were doing, which is basically just like a trolley, a massive trolley, stuff like that. Now I'm working on sort of waste remediation, characterization, disposal. Current thing I'm working on at the spot is like a lot of expert support. How do we deal with issues and stuff like that? Really cool, learning a lot about that. I always say like I'm not engineering minded at all, because I'm not, but I do find it really interesting. I try my best to work with the engineers and designers and that sort of thing. And 9 times out of 10, the designers are always happy to take time, and the engineers and everything take time and talk you through it. As long as you're interested. I mean, even if you're not interested, be interested, because you need everyone on side. But yeah, no, so I've been learning a lot about that. Only been there just under 2 months now, so still finding my feet for definite. But I have just about toppled all of the induction training and everything that comes with it.
E-learning.
Oh my God, e-learning. There was so
They don't tell you about that at school, do they?
They don't tell you about e-learning at school, and nor should they, because you won't want to go into the workplace after hearing about e-learning. Yeah. But there's only a month of it, don't worry. There's only the start, and then you're free for it until it comes up for renewal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah, no, so it's been cool. It's just a different way of doing things. Getting to go down to Manchester next week for a young persons network event that NWS run, something Altrad don't run it, something like that. So it's quite cool that you get the chance to go down and integrate with other young people from across the business and that sort of thing. Hear from speakers like COOs there, Martin Walkinshaw and people like that, talking through stuff. So that's really cool and interesting. And yeah, no, just different opportunities again. It's just coming back to that, different opportunities. We've just come into New CEO, Seth Kildridge, from Corin Pash, done an amazing job with NWS through their transformation, taking over LLWR and RWM, blending them and making the love child of NWS. But so it's just constant change and constant opportunity, really, isn't it?
Amazing, love it. So if you could give younger self a bit of advice, what would it be?
What would you give younger James a bit of advice? Just stick to it. Just whatever you're doing, just stick to it. It'll turn out. Even if you're thinking, oh, what am I going to use this for? Or how's this going to become relevant? Which was just me in maths constantly. Everyone has the joke about trigonometry that no one's ever used it. But once you're a QS, you want to know trigonometry again. Yeah. So do you just remember that, James? Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just sticking with stuff. I think if you're enjoying it, stick with it. Don't give it up because you haven't got the time for it, or this is one thing John said to me. He said there's no such thing as not having enough time for it. There's the choice that you've prioritized to do something else instead of doing that. And I think that's going to stick with me for a while, to be honest, because previously there are some times where I say I just don't have time to do this, but in reality I'm just choosing to do something else instead of that, whether it be just going to sleep at like 8 o'clock because you're just absolutely shattered. But in reality, could you stay up that extra hour and go to the gym? Yeah, you probably could. Yeah. So
I'll just get up earlier.
Yeah, just get up earlier. Just get up earlier. You want to get up at 6, James? What's 5?
Exactly. You'll be part of the 5 a.m. club.
Oh, yeah. That's 5 years' time, I think. That's when your Diary of a CEO book comes out, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I guess touching on that then, in the next 5 years, what's the plan? Well, actually, no. What I want to know is, what did you want to be when you were at school, or did you really not know?
Well, it changed every year. So, like, probably when I started school, I wanted to be a gamekeeper. Oh, okay. Really enjoy going out on the shoot, enjoy clay pigeon shoot and everything like that. Yeah. Really, really enjoyed it. Love going out with my dad shooting and stuff like that. Across the north of England and stuff, really found it interesting. We used to look after our own pheasants on the farm. Really used to enjoy getting involved with that. So probably a gamekeeper for the first few years. Then I found out the wage of a gamekeeper, and I was like, that doesn't pay for many holidays, to be honest. And about 1 day annual leave a year doesn't go very far either. So that turned me off a little bit, that one. Sort of went back into farmer. It's coming back into it. Then sort of fell off it again. Then decided, I'll be a biomedical scientist for that sort of thing. For my biology and everything like that. And then fell off at that again. And decided I was going to be a project manager. And then came through to Sellafield applications and thought, no, actually scientific degree looks a bit more interesting to me. So I was going to be scientific degree, and then procurement officer. So it's probably right up until I started my job, I didn't really know what I was going to be. Still don't know what I want to be next. So I was listening to Tom Scaife thinking, I'm going to be a lawyer next. So just watch this space and see what happens next.
Tommy's gunning for you.
Exactly, I'm gunning for the McLaren, Tom. That's what I'm gunning for.
I know. He's just got back from. Was he going to
China?
Yeah, he went to the Grand Prix in China, didn't he? Yeah, looked so good. I know. He totally played that down as well. He didn't tell us all of that. But yeah, so I guess then for you, sort of looking forward, looking into the future. Just obviously, we're really new into NWS. If we were to sit down and do this in sort of 5 years' time,
well, I honestly, if I could sit back here in 5 years' time, I could just say every opportunity I've been given and I've wanted to take and I've took it, then I'd be happy. Because that's one thing I've talked through with John. Just every opportunity you get, just dive into it. You've been given an opportunity for a reason, take it.
I love it. That's such good advice. Such good advice. And I always have one last question. So we have a bit of a debate on the pod between university or apprenticeships. Discuss.
Oh, well, I don't know if Maddie's going to listen to it, so it might be another disagreement, but yeah, it's all dependent on you, really, isn't it? I'll be dead diplomatic with it, but it's so dependent on you and your lived experience. I do look back and think, it would have been quite cool to go to uni, experience a different city, have that, but then I do think at the same time, I probably wouldn't have had what I've got at the minute if I'd have gone to uni. I wouldn't have met the people I've met. I wouldn't have been doing the things I'm doing. So it really is. It's such a leap of faith at 18 to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's even picking your GCSEs in year 9. It's like, bloody hell, I don't have an idea. I picked BTEC sport because I enjoyed PE. Like,
and
looking back,
rugby and
yeah, exactly. And then looking back now, I'd probably have been back at picking business or something, learning a bit sooner. But it's such a hard choice for a lot of people. I mean, if your main goal's to get a degree apprenticeship would be my shout every time. With the rising cost of university and everything, I won't get political in it or anything like that. We'll stay neutral. But with the current like climate and everything, I'd back an apprenticeship every day. It's what it says on the tin. It's that real world experience from the offset. I know there's a lot of routes that you can't do it with. If you want to be like a doctor or something, obviously it is a bit different.
Absolutely.
But things are evolving. Like, loads of careers you couldn't do years ago without a degree, you can do now because you can do an apprenticeship. So I think, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to what suits you. If you're living in, I won't say West Cumbria because no one could get sick of West Cumbria because you want to be here.
Not when it's beautiful as it is today.
Exactly. So if you were living in Blythe or something and you hated Blythe and you wanted to go to Manchester, like, university is a great excuse to go do it and explore the city and explore a bit of the world and whatever, and meet. A few of my mates went and they've met some really cool people, and I used to go across to them at university and go on the nights out and have a laugh and meet all these people, and it was really cool. And sometimes I was jealous, thinking, oh my god, I'm waking up at 6 a.m. to go into work while these guys are out at a
They're just
party
coming home.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of them, isn't it? But yeah, no. What did you do? Did you go to uni? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where did you go?
I have a history degree. I was going to be a history teacher.
Right. What's the history there then?
So that's a whole other episode of
That's
the pod,
a whole
I think.
other episode. I want to watch that episode of the pod. Can you tell me when someone's interviewing Lindsay? I want to see that one.
Yeah. I did want to be a history teacher. Yeah, so at one point, I say this to everyone, my mum was quite concerned about me because I did have a stack of books about that high in my bedroom for my dissertation on all of the dictators of Europe. So
Cool.
quite interesting opinions on modern politics and
Yeah,
yeah.
And just Europe dictators, you didn't go any wider?
No.
All right.
39 to 45. Yeah, the rise of power and all that stuff.
No, that is really cool.
Yeah.
It would have been made a much better podcast than listen to me waffle on.
It's been requested, hasn't it, Tom? So we'll think about that if I'm brave enough one day. But thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for joining us. It's fascinating to hear about where everybody's journeys, everyone's paths, and we do live in a rural part of the country. So it's always great to hear everybody's options and choices. And thank you. Really mean it. It's appreciated. Thank you for joining us. Give us a like and a share and a comment, and we will see you very soon for the next episode. Cheers, James.
Thank you very much. Cheers, everyone.